Hi, this video is brought to you by pm-prep35.com. We are an online training, PMP training website. You can visit our website at pm-prep35.com. In this session, I'm going to cover monitor and control project work process, which is part of project integration management knowledge area. Monitor and control project work process falls in monitoring and controlling process group. Understandably, the project management processes are grouped in 5 areas, namely initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. This particular process, called monitor and control project work, falls in monitoring and controlling process group. The project integration management knowledge area as such is an all spanning knowledge area in terms of being integrative by nature to all the knowledge areas. So the different knowledge areas or scope, time, cost, quality, human resources, procurement, and so on. So there are about 9 other knowledge areas. The integration management knowledge area integrates the knowledge from all these areas, and this is where the project management plan gets built. The monitor and control project work, understandably, is also integrative by nature, basically because it falls in project integration management knowledge area, and based on the way it is named, the whole idea of this particular process is to collate all the information from different knowledge areas and provide a proper status of the project health. The whole idea of different monitoring and control process falling in different knowledge areas is to check how the project is performing with relevance to the baseline and make any changes if things are not happening according to the plan. So there might be change requests that get raised and they get approved, and then the controlling action happens in the form of making those changes to the deliverables, or it might be to the product of the project. So specifically, the monitor and control project work is mainly concerned with looking at the baselines specified in the project management plan. The project management plan as such holds all the subsidiary plans. Subsidiary plans means the plans for the different knowledge areas, and also it has the baselines. The baseline is nothing but a approved number given to, for example, cost. So and so is the estimate that I have for the cost which is planned for this particular project, and that gets approved. So you keep tracking that cost using that baseline number, and if there is tomorrow any change wherein this baseline can be breached, or there can be an increase or decrease in the cost, then first of all this cost new baseline has to be updated in the relevant area. So the project management plan has all the baselines and also the link to other subsidiary plans. The monitor and control project work is also responsible for validating changes. Understandably, the change as such has a life cycle. First, a change request is created wherein you analyze what are the impacts due to a particular change. It is put in a change request. So you say, if I do this change, it is going to affect the cost, the time, and what is the time period that is going to take. For example, when you say it is going to impact the cost and the time, you say it is going to take so much dollars and it's going to take so much time with so many resources on board to do this change. So this is put in the form of a document called change request, and this change request goes to the change control board. The change control board approves or rejects this particular change. If this is approved, then the project team implements this particular change. The change can be implemented onto a deliverable, which is a process or a phase output, and then, or it might be a change to the project's product as such. So when it gets implemented onto the deliverable or the project's product, then somebody validates if the change has been done as per the change request. So that is done, that is called as validated changes. Once it has been validated by someone, mostly it will be done by the change control board, who check against the change request whether the changes have been done. So it is also responsible for checking the validating the changes, this particular process. And like any other process, or specifically when you talk about changes, it is more related to monitoring and controlling process. When you're monitoring how the work is being performed, then there's a scope for change requests to be identified, and those change requests can get approved and they get implemented as updates to project management plan or the project documents. Specifically, you're concentrating mainly on the project management plan, on the project documents, basically because because the project is still in a mode of getting built, and the team is working on the project and the deliverables. A lot of changes can happen to the documents rather than the actual deliverable, because the deliverable gets built over the different phases of a project. So that's why there's a stress on project management plan updates and project document updates. The updates specified in the PMBOK can be taken as a keyword, and they actually mean implementing the approved changes. So the monitor and control project work process is concerned with having a holistic view of the project, how it is currently working, how is it performing at the moment against the baseline which is there in PM plan, and then forecasting, weighing the different objectives like the schedule, cost, forecasting those, and then putting it all together in a work performance report. It also involves validating changes and including that as part of the work performance report. So this is the whole gist of this particular process called monitor and control process work. Monitor and control process work, project work process is concerned with ensuring that work is progressing as per plan. If not, appropriate control measures are taken in the form of change requests. So there are two aspects. One is monitoring and then controlling. In case of monitoring, you're checking against the baselines, which is part of the PM plan. So most of the monitoring and controlling processes, or in fact all of the monitoring and controlling processes, will have project management plan as the main input. You're monitoring against the baseline, which is part of the project management plan. Then if needed, you will do controlling through change request process. Monitoring and control project work process is also concerned with creating status reports from the work performance information to update the different stakeholders with the project status. So PMBOK has a way of looking at, has some terminologies called work performance data, work performance information, and work performance report. The work performance data is ideally what the team has done so far, or what is the work in progress, what is the status of work in progress. It doesn't look too much around the work, but then at the moment, what has the team done. But if you take the work performance information, it is processed data, or processed, it's information that is processed in the context of the project. For example, I'm creating a document today. I would say I've completed 50% of that particular document, or I have done so much work in this particular document. I've covered this particular section. But work performance information looks at it from the project point of view, or the percentage of the work completed, or it might be creating some um, some aspects which are mainly an input to the work performance report. The work performance report will have a format. It might have different indicators. Those placeholders get filled with work performance information. The work performance report is more of a formal, an electronic document which can be circulated or communicated to different stakeholders. So work performance is data, is raw data that comes out from the project team, which is stored in the project management information system or the configuration management system, which is part of the project management information system. The work performance information is a process data which has better information looking at it from the project point of view or the deliverable point of view. Work performance data is more narrow in terms of looking at what has been done on a particular day, or from a project team member's point of view. But work performance information is more in line with the holistic view from a project point of view or a deliverable point of view. What percent has been done, what has been completed. Work performance report can be thought of holders that have different work performance information or metrics to be fitted in, which is more formal or readable. So when you get into monitor and control project work, work performance information is a main input. You can also think work performance information as a more descriptive way of talking about the current state and the forecast of different knowledge areas like scope, quality, and all that. Basically, you can measure, you have indexes to measure the schedule and cost in terms of calculating variance from the planned and actuals, or you can calculate the variance or indexes, the schedule performance index, schedule variance, cost variance, cost performance index. So you can represent them as numbers. But when you're talking about scope, quality, or the other knowledge areas, you have to be a bit descriptive. So that's where the work performance information comes into picture. On the other hand, for schedule and cost, you can assign a number in terms of the index or the variance. So work performance information is one of the important inputs for this particular process. Validating changes is also an important part of this process, since issues or changes should not fall through gaps. So once you fix something as per the approved change request, it should be validated as part of this process to ensure that the change request, whatever has been approved as part of the change request, is only implemented or not anything else. So based on this, the main inputs for this process are the project management plan, where you have the baselines, the different baselines, as well as the links to different subsidiary plans. All the monitoring and controlling process, irrespective of the knowledge area they fall in, will have PM plan as the input, because monitoring and controlling process group as such is more concerned about having a holistic view of the health of the project. So project management plan is a default input to all the monitoring and controlling processes. Specifically, schedule forecast and cost forecast are important inputs, basically because project integration management is integrative, or it links all the processes falling in different knowledge areas. So it has to give a complete picture, being part of, and that to this process being part of monitoring and controlling process group, it has to give a complete picture of the health of the whole project. So for that, schedule forecast or cost forecast play a very important role. So these forecasts are calculated based on the CPI, SPI, the CV, SV. So they have information like estimated completion, estimate to complete, and things like that. So these are calculated basically to go into the work performance report. So apart from these, the work performance information is a very important input, and validated changes before coming into the process, the changes are reviewed, and those status of those changes also find a place in work performance report. Enterprise environmental factor, because this is an integrative process, enterprises environmental factors, which is mostly an input only for the planning processes, is an input in this case. And then the organizational process assets are nothing but the process guidelines or lessons learned from similar projects. There might be any templates that you might use for work performance reporting. So those become part of organization process assets. Enterprise environmental factors more relate to work authorization system or something which has an external link. The project has an external link to another organization or the client who's using a different system. That's where the work authorization system comes into picture. The tools and techniques relevant to this process are expert judgment, because this is part of integration management. Expert judgment is required, wherein you have people from other areas or other business units getting involved. If for example the project is in a niche area, or you have to forecast certain things or to understand the health of the project and give the right picture. Analytical techniques, any technique used to predict future issues, so that when there is expert judgment involved, there will be analysis involved. The analysis can take the form of regression analysis, cause and effect diagrams, failure mode, effect analysis, FMEA. So these are some of the techniques that are used to analyze the actual health of the project. Meetings are conducted when expert judgment is involved. Meetings are a natural part of it, wherein you get inputs from different stakeholders. Project management all information system, although this is part of enterprise environmental factors, this is used to collate and distribute information to the different stakeholders. So project management information system is a specific input for this particular specific tech tool for this particular process. So the outputs from this process are understandably the change request. The change request come out basically when you're monitoring something. You can find some issues and they get documented as change requests, and they go to the change control board or integrated change control process. They get approved to get implemented as project management plan updates or project document updates. Work performance report, this is the main output which is used to distribute the information or the status or the forecast, stating what is the health of the project as of now. So project management plan updates, project document updates as already specified, or the approved changes implemented onto these documents. So project management plan updates can include changes to baseline or changes to the subsidiary plans. So to summarize the whole thing, the monitor and control project work is mainly concerned about validating changes, providing forecasts, measuring the actuals against the baseline, and ensuring changes that have been done or validated. So these are the main points: forecasting, changes validation, then comparison of planned with actuals. In the whole process, you might use expert judgment or analytical techniques to come up with the work performance report. So that's the gist about this process. So that's about monitor and control project work. Do visit pm-prep35.com to access a lot of free resources in terms of mock exams and chapter tests. Bye.